Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back. It is so good to see you again. I'm Tara, in case you don't already know who I am. So I have a question for you. How is the culture of your team? Do you get along? Do you reach the goals that you set out to reach? Do you communicate well? Or is there a lot of drama and self-imposed chaos? So if it's the latter, I'm here to show you a wildly important goal that will not only help you reach your goals, but will also improve your culture at the same time. So basically, a team is a group of people that has to work together to accomplish a shared vision or a goal. And the culture is that shared set of beliefs, values, and behaviors that is the operating system of the team. So basically, it's how well you get along, how you behave, and how you perform together. So organizational health or culture is a really hot topic right now in business circles. And culture and leadership, there are thousands of books on leadership in the workplace right now. And so my work as a grad student is to translate the culture and leadership principles in business to the family model. Because after all, the family is the first and most important team that you will ever be a part of. And if you don't get it right, you can join us in therapy for the next 20 years, right? So all joking aside, check out this rubric that I made, this comparison that I made from Patrick Lencioni, from the author of the book, The Advantage. And so he basically says that culture provides the context for everything that happens in the workplace. So over here on the left, you will see the SMART business system, strategy, marketing, finance, and technology. And most businesses concentrate on these four systems because they are measurable, and we're in the business of making money, and we can calculate things on that side. But what Lencioni is saying is that culture provides the context for all of these things to happen. And when you have a healthy culture, you can tell because you have minimal politics, minimal confusion, high morale, high productivity, and low turnover. So I plugged in the family system as a comparison. And if a SMART family has a purpose and a plan, which is also a mission and a vision, core values, wildly important goals, a budget, character development for everyone in the family, healthy communication that has respect, trust, humor, boundaries, empathy, creativity, fun, accountability, and responsibility, you will also have a healthy family culture. Again, with minimal politics, minimal confusion, high morale, high productivity, and low turnover. So I thought about changing the wording on this, but let's face it, we swap out husbands and wives and sometimes even kids at a high rate. So if we have a healthy culture in the family, chances are that this turnover is going to be low. So when you lack a mature character, a clear mission and a vision, core values, wildly important goals, which is what we're going to concentrate on today, execution of those goals, trust, vulnerability, and boundaries, your team is going to feel anxiety, anger, frustration, loneliness, resentment, poor performance, and depression. On the other hand, if you have a healthy culture in your family or your team, your members will feel a sense of belonging, freedom to be themselves, unconditional love, respected, valued, a feeling that someone has your back, and comfortable in your own skin. So no significant result is achievable unless people change their behavior. So because we are at the end of the year, I will just throw in this tidbit that a New Year's resolution can also be considered a goal for the new year. But they usually stop. The reason why New Year's resolutions don't work and only 9.2% of the people keep them is because they stop right here. They identify this wildly important goal down here, and then they just stop. They don't go any further. So the rest of these that are listed here, the why statement, your current reality, the tactics, the accountability, involvement from others, the scoreboard, communication, boundaries, and preparing for the whirlwind, all of these are what have to be in place to accomplish a wildly important goal. If you just stop with the resolution, you're not going to keep it because it's a behavioral change that has to happen. And all of these other pieces over here are the behavioral change system that will get you to your wildly important goal. So the first thing that we have to decide is, what is our one thing? What is that one thing that we want to accomplish that's going to have the greatest impact on our year next year? So let's take a look at this clip from City Slickers.
Cowboy leads a different kind of life than there were cowboys. They're a dying breed. Still means something to me, though. A couple of days. We'll move this herd across the river. Drive through the valley. There's nothing like bringing in a herd.
See, now that's great. Your life makes sense to you. What's so funny?
You city folk, you worry about a lot.
I'm just saying.
How old are you? 38.
39.
Yeah. You don't come up here about the same age, same problems. Spend about 50 weeks a year getting knots in your rope, and then you think 2 weeks up here, a long time for you. None of you get it. Do you know what the secret of life is?
No, what?
This.
Your finger?
One thing. Just one thing. You stick to that and everything else don't mean.
That's great, but what's the one thing?
That's what you gotta figure out.
That was such a great movie, wasn't it? So what is your one thing? What is the one thing that will enhance your year next year? What is that wildly important goal that will really make a difference in your year and in your life and for your team? So go ahead, and if you'd like, go ahead and stop the video here or pause the video and write down a couple of things where you think might be your wildly important goal. You don't want to have more than one or two, because we can't focus on more than one or two things at a time, but go ahead and write one down. The next part that you're going to do is write down your why statement. And we all have a why for doing the things that we want to do, but this is really where the passion is. This is really where what drives us. It's just like that thing that keeps you up at night. I've heard people say, what is it that causes you to lose sleep? What is it that causes that feeling in your gut? What is your why? Why is it that you want to do this and accomplish this really important goal? And when you have your why statement, write it down so that your team, and put it in a place so that your team can see it on a regular basis. Put it on your desk, put it on your calendar, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. If it's in a workplace, make sure that it's a place highly visible so that your team can see it. The next thing that we have to do is to decide what our current reality is. So if you were going to take a trip, you would have to decide the airport that you're going to fly from, and then decide the airports that you're going to fly to. There's no way that you're going to take a trip unless you make that decision. You have to have those 2 points decided before you go anywhere. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. And it's the same thing in life. When we have a goal, we have to decide where we are before we decide where we're going to go. And a lot of us miss this part, and we don't really take the time to ask ourselves these questions, like, what behaviors and decisions got me here in the first place? Like, why do I need to make this goal? Like, why am I here in the first place? What is it that I need to stop doing? How much self-awareness do we really have? And do we have the character to stick it out for the long haul? We have to ask ourselves those questions, because so many times we'll say, well, I don't really act that way, or I don't, that's not really, how I behave, when in reality it is. So we have to be really honest with ourselves. And we also have to say, maybe there's some beliefs that are holding us back. Maybe life dealt me a crappy hand. This is how it is and how it always will be. It's not my fault. It's out of my control. I can't fix it. I have bad luck. When we own our beliefs and when we own our behavior, what it is that we really are doing, we can change it. And that's the whole point of the wildly important goal, is that this is a behavior change system. If you want to lose weight, if you want to stop smoking, whatever it is, whatever your wildly important goal is, there has to be a change involved. And so you have to know where you're starting before you can get to where you want to be. So the tactics are the next step. And these are the individual steps that will get you to your wildly important goal. And again, this is a behavior change system. So you can pause the video here and you can take time to read through all of these. There's a lot of information on this. I'm going to point out a couple of things. I'm not going to read the whole thing because of time. But I just picked out 2 areas where a lot of us have struggles: better financial decisions, and then exercise. Maybe we want to run a marathon. But on these financial decisions, pay attention to the second one right here, again, about developing self-awareness. So a lot of times we will say to ourselves, when we talk about having better finances, it usually means work harder and make more money, or get a job that will pay us more money. This is actually not the right way to go. It's not that we need to make more money to support what it is that we're doing. It's that we have to ask questions about what it is that we're doing. And if those behaviors that we're already exhibiting, maybe those are the ones that are getting us in trouble. So for example, is money a tool to people please, or self-soothe? Maybe it just makes me feel better to buy myself things, or to have certain, lavishes in life. Do I use money to impress others? Do I use it to gain power or control? Am I an emotional spender or an impulse buyer? So when we really take a look at this self-awareness, then we can decide what it is that we need to change. And then down here at the bottom, start the behavior that you want before you have enough to do it. I hear people say all the time, well, I can't afford that, or I'm too poor. I would love to, help out the charities or the recent victims of some of these, fires or floods or whatever, but I can't afford it. Listen, if you only have $10 in your pocket, give $1 to charity, or put $1 in your savings. It's not about the amount of money that you have. It's about your behavior, and it's about the character that we have in taking care of the money that we already have. So it's not about making more money necessarily. Now, and then on the other side, I picked run a marathon, because this is an easy way to see about what it takes for a wildly important goal to be accomplished. So this is all about the calendar. So on the better financial decision side, these are all about behavior changes. And on the run a marathon side, these are a lot about calendaring, scheduling, changes, and the behavior, the discipline to keep it. But this will show you or give you an idea of how the kind of strategy that it takes and the planning that it takes to reach a wildly important goal. This is not a New Year's resolution where we hope that things will get better. This is an actual plan that you can implement, and one that really works. So no matter what your wildly important goal, you're going to need a few things. You'll need accountability. So whether it's an individual goal or your team goal, your team has to be accountable to each other. So you're going to need a measuring metric to avoid falling apart in the whirlwind of daily activities. We start up a goal and then we get so busy and things happen and then it just goes by the wayside. So we need accountability to keep the team accountable. Involvement from others. Everybody on your team needs to know the goal. They need to be able to say the goal. Schedules are going to change. Behaviors are going to change. So you need a buy-in from everyone. You also need to keep a visual scoreboard, and the team should come up with a scoreboard of how they want to keep track of their progress, but you want to keep it in plain sight where everybody can see it. Communication is key, because you have to communicate the goal on a regular basis. And when people are emotionally and relationally connected to others, the stress level in the brain diminishes. There's a lot of science going on right now in neuroscience and a lot of studies about this, where relationships change brain chemistry and people actually grow and function better, and they're high performers when they are in healthy communication with others. And boundaries, you want to make sure that you have good boundaries, because whenever you have a wildly important goal, you want to make sure that you have people around you that will not keep you, will not get you off track. So the whirlwind of daily activities, this is where a lot of us get stuck. And this is where a lot of us, we start out with good intentions. The gyms are always full in January, right? And then in February, they get a little bit less. And then in March, it's right back to normal. because we all get stuck in this whirlwind of daily activities. It's kind of like this game of chutes and ladders, this picture that I have here, you know, where you think that you're doing fine, you're going up the ladder, and all of a sudden something happens and you're just sliding back down that slide back to square one. So keep in mind that the 4 disciplines of execution, which is where a lot of this material is coming from that book, these strategies are not designed to manage your whirlwind. These strategies are designed to help you reach your goal in the middle of your whirlwind. So it's not about getting rid of the whirlwind. We all have to go to work. We all have schedules. We all have, laundry to do. But it's managing the whirlwind so that we can still accomplish the wildly important goal. So a quick note about boundaries. Boundaries are not stifling. They are guardrails that keep you from knocking down the wrong pins. So this is the summary of what we just talked about. So you're welcome to stop the video here again and write these down. This is basically the system that you will need to reach your wildly important goal so that your team culture really is raised to the next level. Because when there is a structure and when there's clear goals that are communicated to the team, the stability of your team, the culture just goes way up. People feel a lot more stable, a lot more secure, a lot more safe, and that's when productivity goes up. So you want to acknowledge that this is in your control and that you can change your behavior. You want to identify your wildly important goal for the next year. Write your why statement. Decide your current reality. Carefully list out the tactics that your team will follow. Create a system of accountability and then also a scoreboard to go with it. And then communicate that goal daily and develop boundaries to stay on track. And most important, prepare in advance for that whirlwind. It's never over. Never give in, never give up. Thank you to King and Country for that song. Happy New Year's, guys, and I hope that you reach your wildly important goals. Thank you for watching. I'm Tara, and I'll see you next time.